where we highlight different Black women in creative entrepreneurship, in music production, and different talents. So whatever we're passionate about, we're highlighting them and helping them excel. So today we have Amber. Amber is a multi-talented creator. She is the founder of Wavy Wmn. Wavy Wmn, I love that name. That's such a fire name.
Thank you.
Yeah, look at the drip. It makes sense why.
And then you see the.
Ooh, don't make me nauseous. This is giving
You gotta come.
I'm kidding. I'm not sick. And then she is a big advocate for ADHD. Thank you, Amber, for being a part of this.
Yes, thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started as a creator, as a founder, and also as an advocate.
So it definitely all started when, like, growing up, I'm from Flatbush, born and raised, growing up around so many different creatives, like my mother's side, coming from Jamaica, a lot of our family have been entrepreneurs, well-to-do people. My grandfather had his own construction business where he was a carpenter, and he built a lot of different like houses and buildings all across Jamaica that a lot of them are still standing to this day. And with my dad being from here, he wasn't necessarily an entrepreneur, but he definitely invested in a lot of like Black businesses. He's definitely invested in a lot of different things. And he was really the driving force that kind of encouraged me, as well as my sisters, to explore the idea of generational wealth. But of course, you can't have generational wealth without, breaking all the things in between. Like, we always look at like, oh, you have generational curses, but we also got to talk about generational strength and generational, positive things. Like, you can't just say like the negative, you also got to talk about the positive. But going back to the question, it was a lot of my friends whose parents, a lot of them were entrepreneurs, like well-to-do. Some had like flower shops, they've had like bakeries, things like that. And then seeing how they put the money back into their own communities versus like putting into other entities, that was something that always stuck with me. However, like, entrepreneurship wasn't necessarily like something that I wanted to do, because my background is in journalism. So I've done writing, I've done a lot of music writing, actually. I've done a lot.
Multi-talented.
Yeah.
I can get in a few bags. That's
yeah. So with coming into my own, like, I realized that I never wanted to be a traditional person. Like, there's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5 at all. Like, nothing wrong with that. But it just did, like, every time I tried it, it didn't serve at all.
Fulfill you.
Yeah. So
what does fulfill you?
Knowing that I make a difference in another Black woman's life, or knowing that I make a difference in like the lives of Black children, even if it's just like 1 or 2, I know that if I make a difference in one, that one can make a difference in another one's life, and then keep paying it forward and keep paying it forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, so what's one way you want to pay it forward? Like, one way you've been looking forward to, like 2022, this is the way I'm going to pay it forward for more Black women.
So something that I've done, I actually kicked off our Wavy Wmn. We kicked off our holiday clothing drive over this past season, and I was able to partner with some Black businesses across Brooklyn. And thanks to their, support, we were able to get over 200 items of clothing to 2 shelters in Brooklyn, both of them focusing on Black single mothers, as well as a public school in East Flatbush, where as of this current school year, 25% of their students are in temporary housing. So to give an idea of like the exact number, it's 500 kids in this school, pre-K to 8th grade. So that's roughly 125 kids. That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot.
And
a lot.
yeah.
A lot of families, yeah.
And that's something like I don't want to just stop there. I want to make sure that like I do my part in giving back to the community that raised me, And it's something I've always wanted to do. I've done a lot of it in undergrad. I did a lot of community work. I was like vice president of my NAACP chapter in undergrad. So giving back. I went to UAlbany.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. I went to UAlbany as well.
Okay, yeah.
Wavy Wmn. What is that
Yes,
about?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
First off, because that's a wavy name.
Okay.
The drip is wavy.
Okay. Talk about it. But
yes, like, where did it start? Tell us about that.
So when I started, I just woke up one morning and I was just like, yo, I'm gonna do this. like off impulse, went to the beauty supply store, got a brush, got pomade, got do-rags, started watching YouTube videos. And by this point, like my hair was fried, dyed, and laid to the side. It was so bleached. So I had to, cut off and start over. But in doing so, I was able to look up, I was looking up inspiration. Like, all right, so let's see a starting point. Let's see what the lady wave is looking like. And I only noticed that it was usually
mostly men, right?
It is mostly men, and then when you do see the women, it's a lot of the same faces over and over again. Not to mention that, like, when you think about waves, it's not representation in natural hair. It's usually it's something that's tend to be overlooked, not intentionally, of course, but also because it's like a lot of these styles are focused towards men. So like, think about it. When a black woman cuts her hair, waving is not the first. They do the TWA, they grow it back, or they do like varying wigs, varying different designs and hairstyles. So like, waving isn't ever really considered. So it was a thought in my head. I'm like, okay. Because I was doing something completely different at the time. So it was just like, I guess. And then I think December 2019 rolled around. I was just like, you know what?
That was like right before we knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. So I had taken some time trying to figure out, like, all right, what am I gonna call this? All the names that I thought of were long as hell and unnecessary. I was like, no, I need to make it shorter. So I said Wavy Wmn, but that name, the actual name is taken. So it's like, okay, so what if I abbreviate women to WMN? And that's where we got Wavy Wmn. And thank you. We launched January 2020. As of right now, Wavy Wmn is the largest active community of black women wavers in the world, featuring black women from right here to as far as Canada, Brazil.
International.
Oh yeah, Trinidad, Bahamas, the UK, France. Going back to that, it's like thinking about what works for your hair and what doesn't. And then also thinking about a lot of what I was saying before with black women. We were not taught to appreciate waves, because it's like you're not even really manipulating your hair unless you use a wave kit, which in that case you are. But all you're literally doing is brushing your hair flat, which achieves the wave-like pattern. Now, whatever kind of brush you use after that, whatever kind of wave degrees, because there's so many different levels to waves, there's like 5 or 6 different degrees that you can do off your waves. And then you have like whatever, like the higher the degree, the more difficult it is to maintain, and you can only start them by a certain way. So it's 6 degrees. There's the 50-60 waves. So think of like doo-wop artists from back in the day where they had like the split, the part in their hair where the waves was on one side and then on the other. Those are considered 50-60 waves.
Was that mostly men wearing that, or
Yeah.
women back then?
Men and women were both wearing it, but it was more prominent in men because a lot of men were using texturizers at that time to make their hair appear silkier, quote unquote. And then you have the 180s, which a lot of people rock. A lot of men tend to rock this, where it's waves in the front and then you have like a Caesar on the sides.
Oh, like a fade.
Yeah, fade on the sides.
Do you see a lot of women wearing that?
Yeah, it's actually.
All right, more women.
Yeah, more women definitely
Women
wear
to
the
front.
Yes. Okay, hello.
Okay.
And then you have 360 waves, which are something that I have. The only thing with mine is that I'm in the process of like restarting, so don't mind my forks, but we're
really
in the
nice.
middle.
That's such a nice lime green.
Thank you,
I
thank
want to get
you.
into your style too. Where
Yes.
does it stem from?
So my style comes from, I take a lot of different pages from like the 70s. I love the 90s. I love Y2K. I love like putting my own twist on things. Like I would say some of my biggest inspiration for style would be like Rihanna for sure. I love her stuff. I love her.
It's Rihanna.
Of course. and my dad, who he had everything in his closet from like silk to fur and everything in between. Like he was real old school, very into like this is a man that had ostrich skin shoes on, like stepped out. Oh yeah, he was fly. He was fly. He stepped out. When he stepped out, it's the leather jackets, all of that. Like that was were things that like looking in the closet like, wow, this is
So that
amazing.
helped your confidence as well. Like, just how your parents were.
Yeah, and then actually it was because of getting into my style, which is also another thing that helped me overcome my social anxiety. So my method was if I was going to a networking event, I was gonna wear something that was a conversation starter. So I pick like pieces, one-of-a-kind things, and would just wear them, and then people come to me like, yo, that is fire. I was like, thank you. What's your name? And that's how I use it as a conversation starter, and that's also what helped me get over my social anxiety in person.
Right, because you express yourself through clothes. I really love, that's cool. That's nice.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really nice. And it's a calm way of like saying hello.
Right.
You know?
Like, hello.
Yeah. It's the first thing I noticed when you walked in. I was like, the drip is dripping.
Thank you. And you know what's the best part? This is probably like, this is Target. This is Target.
I love Target.
I love a good Target run, okay?
And you get the right shirt, it's Target.
Hello. But nah, like I definitely like to take from different places. Like I don't have like a preference. Because as long as I like it, that's what matters. Mm-hmm. And then just take it and then just like, okay, well, what can I wear with this?
Yeah. So let's talk about your goals for 2022. Yeah. What are you looking most forward to?
I'm definitely looking most forward to building my team.
What does that look like?
So team, like my team of Wavy Wmn, like I'm the founder and the CEO. I definitely, like realistically, you know, you gotta grow at some point. You gotta make room for the growing pains. So when they're doing so, it's like, all right, you know, I'm starting to tap into my network of Wavy Wmn to see what's going on, like where y'all at, see if we mesh, see if you're a great fit for the business, all the things.
What type of positions are you referring to right now?
So,
like, is it a photographer?
So right now it would be more like internal things. So definitely looking for, definitely looking for PR. Definitely looking for my women in tech. Definitely looking for that on the tech side. Definitely looking for like the financial shorties. Definitely looking for that. Like different elements, brand partnerships, things like that. I'm definitely looking forward to building my team. Another thing.
All women, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. All Black women. That's it.
Okay.
Because that's one thing I will say is that even in my internship journeys, I had the honor and privilege of working with Black-owned businesses back to back. And all of them were just like probably the most fun I've ever had working. Like they were just really encouraging, like check-ins, like, hey, you okay? Is everything all right and cool? Like even to this day, I still keep in touch with a lot of them.
You know, because we care. We show up in spaces and add a little bit of care. Yeah, that's really cool. Yes, Amber, so building a team is so important, but I do want to talk about what does it look like to create an intentional network? Like, what do you look for in people, like certain characteristics? Yeah,
so the first thing I look for is to make sure that you are not only passionate about what you do, but you're committed and intentional about what you're doing. Because it's like, you can say that you're an entrepreneur and you have a business all day, but if you're not actually putting the time behind, like, you know, outside of social media and outside of like behind the scenes and everything, take that away. Like if you're not from a financial point, you're not putting things to the side for it. You're not in the space of where you're at least trying to create your pitch deck or have a better understanding of like business laws in New York and understanding like, you know, the differences with like LLCs and things like that. And also you don't have to necessarily like to know all of that like verbatim, but then also having a balance with your personal time. Like your personal time is the most important. You are the only person that you have.
Absolutely, absolutely. How do you know that about someone though? Like you let's say you're sitting down with someone, they want to be on your team, you're looking for PR. How do you know whether they are intentional or not? Like what type of things do you look for that describes like, okay, I'm connected to you and you are intentional?
Well, I pay attention to their body language, for sure. I pay attention to a lot of body language.
That's
and
a good thing to do.
Yeah, I pay attention to the body language. I pay attention to how confident they are in answering the questions. I pay attention to like, you know, if they keep saying certain things over and over again, it's like, okay, well, maybe you do have some experience. And then also eye contact, very important, very important. Like, I have to make sure that it's like, okay, can we look at each other and have a conversation? Then you're not doing like this, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that sometimes, because some people have anxiety, that happens, it's okay. But if you're doing that continuously to the point where you can't even look me in the eye when you have something to ask, it's like, but then also, one thing that I've learned, especially in like, I actually just finished up this certification program with Cornell University called the Women's Entrepreneurship Certification Program. Basically, it's a program with Cornell and Bank of America that is free to women entrepreneurs. And it's like 6 classes. It's free 99, like free 99. Free.
Okay. And what are you learning in this program?
It's basically like a personal journey. Like, you learn different things about like venture capitalism, and you talk about like your journey with being okay with telling people who you are and what you do, and being more confident in these conversations, and also knowing the odds of having funding. Like, right now, Black women are actually the least funded type of entrepreneur by race and gender. And it's spaces like Gabrielle Union's venture company, Serena Williams has her own venture company Serena Williams' company actually just raised over $100 million. And
okay, more for her, Serena.
I know that, hello.
Okay.
So it's like things like that, is understanding that like there are not as many Black women venture capitalists. Because let's be real, Black women entrepreneurs, we need the funding.
We need the capital.
We need it. We do. And going back to the question regarding like, how you look at somebody, how do you know if they're legit? Something that I learned in that Cornell program is to hire slow, fire fast. So it's like, yes, we might have this first conversation right now, but I need to see your work ethic. I need to see how good you are under high pressure situations. Like, some people fold under pressure, some people don't. And you gotta really pay attention to that, because say you hire this person and it's like, okay, well, they seem like they're good, and then something happens where it's pressure and they fold like a pretzel. And
do you feel like you had to learn some of these characteristics, these traits first, so you would be in a better space to recognize them? Like, how was that journey?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely learned this, especially in school, taking like, it's funny, because I was very much so I know I have an assignment, but I'm gonna do it the night before and turn it out and still get an A. I'm still gonna get an A. I'm just lazy a little bit.
Too, like, okay, Emma, we can't do last minute things and we will still excel.
Yes.
So it adds to anxiety.
Yeah, so that's when I actually realized, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do this way anymore. Right. So then understanding like, and also reading up on how to overcome that, and then just include it in your everyday. Try to make sure that it's like, all right, you have to treat it as a priority, instead of like thinking like, yeah, this is 3 months away. It's like, all right, can I start it right now though? Can I at least have it together so that when this month comes, it's okay.
Yeah, speaking of daily habits, right? How do you take care of yourself? Like, how is wellness a part of your daily routine?
So it's great you asked that. So I have a night care routine and a daytime routine. And
tell me about it.
Night care routine is definitely like, I make time to cook. I love to cook. Outside of like doing all this, I love cooking. That's something I always love to do. Like,
I love cooking.
Lots of fun. Listening to music, making sure that I make time for like my TV shows that I like to catch up on. Sometimes I'll take a moment to draw. Like, I have my little notepad and my markers and whatever, and I just get to drawing. Like, it doesn't have to be anything, I just draw. Just for fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes you just draw just to draw.
Yeah, definitely just love drawing. It's something I've always done as a kid. Something that I learned, which is another thing. I definitely love to be in touch with my inner child. Like, that's something that's really important to me. It's like, I love being in touch with my inner child, and I've learned that more and more as I've gotten older, and especially now that I have like my own space. I have my own spot where it's just like, all right, I can just be free and be happy.
Own spot, that's amazing.
Hello.
In New York City, that is amazing.
Yes, thank you.
So how do you play?
So what I do is that,
you know what I mean by play.
I turn up, like in the morning, I have my morning playlist, so I listen to all my music. So like, it's all about what I'm feeling, One morning I could listen to All For You by Janet Jackson. Another day I'm listening to Lady Soft. Mentally, like there's no real bounds. Like other days I'm listening to like Tiwa Savage, Davido, Wizkid. Other days I could be like listening to Beyonce, Jasmine Sullivan. Really no boundaries. Just like I just wake up and just like, all right, I want to listen. Yeah, just flow. I dance and sing and like have fun and like allow my energy to kind of flow in the morning. And then I also have like my morning intentions that I do, and like my I guess it's called a vision mood board that I like put up for myself to kind of like get my ideas going. And but yeah, these are some of the many things I like to do. Oh, and walking. I do morning walks.
Spending time in nature, that's
very important. Definitely changed my perception of things. Like it was something that was recommended to me by a former therapist of mine, whereas like I would experience seasonal depression. And she was just like, you should take a walk in the mornings, like, and I started walking in the mornings. And then when I started doing that, I started appreciating my neighborhood more, learning more different things, and
just everything. So I love that you are multi-talented, but I also love that because you are multi-talented, it sounds like you're very intentional in so many different ways. You're intentional with your network, you're intentional with your style, you're intentional with your message. Like, it is so beautiful and it's very, very inspiring. Where do you think more women can show up in different spaces? Like, how can we be more intentional with adding women in certain spaces? Like, where do you think we need to see more Black women?
We definitely need to see more Black women in the waver community for sure. Because even though it's like, there's a lot of Black women who wave, but there's not a lot of Black women who wave that are in the waver community. Because even though it's like a lot of people wave out here, interestingly enough, most wavers are all Midwest and the South. A lot of them that are very prominent, a lot of them are out there. Now this is again not to say that like we don't exist in the tri-state and other places like that, but it's just that the most prominent ones are in the, like I said, the Midwest and the South. And I wanted it to be creating more space for these people. Like, oh, we got a whole section, word, it's lit. Let me find out. Just like mentioned before, like I've reached women Black women all over the world. So it's like, it's not impossible. It's a matter of intention and how dedicated I am to doing it.
Absolutely. So like practically speaking, for more of us to be in this community and for it to expand, who can be our ally? Like who would you say can come in and like help move the movement?
Honestly, I would say like if more Black men would kind of remove the stigma of like, oh, Black women can wave their hair because our hair is nicer, quote unquote. That doesn't even make sense. And that's a lot of people, you'll be surprised, a lot of Black men will say that. It's like, oh yeah, well it's easier for Black women, your hair is nicer than ours. Like, no, we literally have the same kind of hair, but go off. Like it's so
we need more Black men to kind of like be a little bit more aware.
And then also more Black women to understand that it's okay to wave your hair. Like you can still absolutely be feminine with waving your hair, because I feel like a lot of Black women are afraid to do that because of how masculine they may be perceived as.
Yeah,
and that's
look at you.
Yeah, exactly.
It don't get masculine.
Exactly.
Do you think Black men like Black women that have waves?
Oh, yes. I've been stopped several times like, yo.
Ready.
I was like, hold on. You trying to give me some wave tips? What's up with you? Like someone
You
really.
just could turn around and be like, oh, speaking of.
I was like, I suppose. I got you right now. Here's the thing. Here's where you go. Here's what you do. Check us out. Tell your friends to tell your friends. It's like, oh yeah, one of my homegirls, she got short hair. It's like, yeah, do it. Pull up.
I love that, Amber.
Thank
really
you.
Cool. Speaking of Bask, we are at Bask Studios. Thank you,
Yes,
Bask.
thank you, Bask.
And
Thank
for
you.
making more of us, more for her.
That's it.
You know? So how do you bask? Like, what does basking look like to you?
Basking to me is being able to look back on everything that I've done and be like, wow, I did this shit. I did this shit.
I know it helps with the imposter syndrome that you mentioned earlier. Just like looking back and seeing the things that you've done.
Yeah.
It's like, who's imposting? Like, who am I pretending to be? I did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you do that every month, every week? Like, how How do you set reminders to look back at what you've done to remind you who you are?
Yeah, so what I actually do is that I have a gratitude journal. And every day I write something, like, no matter what it is, anything that's good that's happened to me, I make sure I write it down and document it so that way I can look back on it and be like, oh, I did this on this day. Today's the anniversary of that. So that's something that's definitely helped a lot, like a gratitude journal for sure.
Is your gratitude journaling a part of your morning or your night routine?
It's part of my night routine.
I like that. So you basking at night too. Awesome. So tell us, where can they find you? Where can they follow you? How can they support your movement?
Yes, so you can find us on all social platforms, WAVY Wmn, like Manhattan, and N. So Wavy Wmn. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all that. We also do a series called Wavy Talks, where I speak to Black women wavers, barbers, hairstylists, and Black businesses in the Black hair community, as well as a series that I recently relaunched called Detangled, where we uncover hair myths, rumors, and everything that's going on in the hair industry right now.
Are these series on podcasts?
So Wavy Talks is coming soon. Like right now, it's on Instagram Live. Detangled, that's an article series, so you can catch that on the Wavy Wmn website. So visit wavywmn.com so that you can see all the recent content. And yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you, Amber, so much for being a part of the More for Her series. Thank you so much for contributing and sharing with us your journey, how you got started, where you're trying to go, where things need to be more women-oriented. Just thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Ariel. Thank you, Bask, for having me. I definitely do appreciate it. Definitely looking forward to like all the really cool things that you guys are doing so far as a Black-owned studio in Bushwick. So y'all definitely need to get your flowers too, because so many people don't know about spaces like this. And we definitely need to amplify all of that. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. And I'm giving you your flowers as well.
Thank you. Yes.